Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 11 to 15.
Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyah paramavapsyatha ishtan bhogani vo devaha दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यः यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वगं पापाः ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात् अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद् भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्.
We have covered up to shloka number 13 of this chapter 3 called Karma Yoga, Yoga of Action. He has been emphasizing on this concept called Yajna, which generally is understood as fire worship, but it has much more deeper significance. It actually talks about acting in the spirit of service and sacrifice, dedicating your activity for the Lord and accepting whatever comes as a result of that action as prasad. With that bhav, you accept. Thus, what happens is you evolve spiritually and also you progress materially. So, this capacity to act in the spirit of yajna consciously is there only with the human beings. All other species are functioning, expressing their nature, but they are doing it unconsciously. Whereas human being can express the swadharma, the nature, consciously. But unfortunately, we are all being imperfect in the sense we are all functioning selfishly. Therefore, here Sri Krishna says, you must understand the value of functioning in the spirit of yajna and function. When you do so, there will be ecological balance and the nature will bless you with a lot of benevolence. Parasparam bhavayantaha, he says in shloka number 11. You should nurture the, the nature, nourish the nature with this spirit of yajna, and the nature will bless you with a lot of benevolence. Parasparam bhavayantaha, help each other. And then in verse number 12 and 13, he talks about 3 types of lifestyles: tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. Tamasic lifestyle is when you eat without producing, he says, such a person is a thief. One whose life is only full of consumption. There is no contribution, or there is hardly any contribution. Such a living is called tamasic, he says. And he is compared with a thief who will not be peaceful at all, who will be insecure in spite of all this because he's not working. He's just swindling others' energy, others' wealth, and living on that. And nature will not allow that for long, you know. So he says such a person is a thief. And then he talks about Rajasic person. A Rajasic person is one who cooks but eats sin, he says. He does it for his selfish reasons, meaning he contributes, he works, but he is working for acquisition and enjoyment. He is not interested in the welfare of the world or anything. He doesn't understand that he is part of the total. See, as Jiva, we are all part of the total. You cannot be just taking from the total without contributing. You may be a very small, infinitesimal being in the total, but you also need to contribute. You have to do what is to be done by you. Like that, everybody has to do. So every aspect in this universe, when they do what they are supposed to do, then there will be dharma. So therefore he says, you must contribute and accept whatever comes as prasad. But Rajasic fellow doesn't function like that. He contributes for the sake of acquisition and enjoyment. Only interested in oneself. Maximum they can think of as family. That's all. And that also they do for their protection, for their security, etc. So therefore he says such people only get in return agitations. Because the world is not designed to cater to one individual's desires. There will be a lot of desires left out without being fulfilled. So you will be constantly agitated. A Rajasic fellow cooks but eats sin, meaning agitations. And then Sattvic person. He says a Sattvic person is one who eats the remnants of sacrifice. In the sense, his life is based on contribution. What is my swadharma? What is my nature? What is my duty? He or she performs it as an offering to the Lord, totality. They see Bhagavan in every species. Bhagavan is what has manifested as this entire universe. Just like the clay has manifested as various pots. So they understand that this universe is nothing but an expression of the divinity. That is what is the concept of Vishwarupa is. In the 11th chapter, Arjuna requests Sri Krishna if he could see the Vishwarupa. And Sri Krishna shows him the Vishwarupa. So, it is Bhagavan, the divinity that has expressed itself as this universe, and all of us are part of that total. So we must understand that there is a duty, there is a nature with which I am born, and I need to express it in the interest of the total, not just in my interest. And I do it as a dedication. And when I do it as a dedication, whatever comes out of it, I accept as prasad, the byproducts. And that also I share with everybody, my family members and friends and neighbors, and then I enjoy. See, during Diwali and all other festivals, we not only buy clothes for ourselves, we should not only buy for our family. We have the, tradition, culture of buying for the maids who work at home. Employees also we give bonus. So there should be joy everywhere. So it's sharing the profit potential with everybody and enjoying, propitiating through that sacrifice. That is what he says. So a Sattvic person lives life like that. He says Sattvic lifestyle is the highest order. Rajasic is mediocre. Tamasic is the lowest. So one who eats without producing is Tamasic. One who cooks but eats sin, Rajasic. One who eats the remnants of sacrifice, Sattvic. So all that he is trying to say is, this yajna is the main thing. You've got to hold on to it. In fact, in the 18th chapter, in the concluding chapter of the Gita, when Arjuna is asking another question to Sri Krishna, he is confused about what is sannyas, what is tyag. So there Sri Krishna talks about sannyas and tyag. There Sri Krishna says, in my opinion, one should not give up yajna, dana, tapa. YDT. Yajna means, yajna is represented by Y. Dana by D. T represents your tapas. Yajna, dana, tapas. He says one should not give up. That should continue. If you want to continue your life, there has to be effort. Now, in today's world, everybody is talking about fire. You know what is fire? FIRE. It's an abbreviation. You know what is the expansion of FIRE? Anybody? Does anyone know what is the expansion of FIRE? Nobody knows. In modern context, they use this FIRE. What is it? I don't know. Seriously. I read it somewhere. Financially independent, retiring early. Meaning, I want to earn money, work hard, earn money, retire and enjoy. There is no such thing as being financially independent. You can be financially independent only if you are mentally independent of this world. If you are mentally dependent of this world, you will be increasing desires. With a lot of desires, you retire, then what will happen? You will be like those people who have given up smoking many times. So you will try retiring many times. In the sense, how much ever you earn, it's not enough. Because the desires are going on increasing. And the inflation is there. So you cannot really financially become independent unless you know how to rise above your desires. While being in Grahastha Ashrama, you should function in the spirit of yajna. And then slowly evolve. Then you will come to a lifestyle, ashrama called Vanaprastha. There you are actually financially independent in the sense you are mentally independent. There is no such thing as financial independence without mental independence. That's what I'm trying to say. If you have not lived life in such a way that your mind has risen above the desires, how you can be financially independent? You cannot. You will be frustrated. You will think that I will live with this minimum. Then you think, no, it's not possible. So you will take up something or the other. Every now and then you will be doing consultancy work here, there, something or the other, because you have to fulfill your desires. You have not managed your desires. So the dealing with the desire is through this yajna. The way you live in life, functioning in the spirit of service and sacrifice, then you will rise above the desires. Then you can be financially independent. In fact, there will be surplus. Because what you need is very minimum. And there will be surplus. That is called spillover. You start living with very minimum, there's a lot of spillover. So he says, therefore, Sattvic people lead life based on this principle. They contribute and then consume whatever is given as a prasad. That also they consume, sharing with their family, friends, neighborhood, everybody. That is called Sattvic lifestyle. And now in next to Shloka 14 and 15, he will talk about the Dharma Chakra. You know, how this wheel is revolving, going on. And we need to maintain this Dharma Chakra. If you don't, then you will stop this chakra, then you will suffer. So he cautions humanity. He explains it in this shloka number 14 and 15. Very important shlokas. Let's chant shloka number 14 and 15 of this chapter 3. Verse number 14 and 15.
अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Annat bhavanti bhutani. From food come forth beings. Bhutani means beings. Especially he's talking about this gross body. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhavaha. From rain, food is produced. Parjanya means rain. Parjanyat anna sambhavaha. From rain, food is produced. From yajna arises rain. Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. How does the rain come? He says, rain comes from yajna, sacrificial activity. And yajna is born of action. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yajnat bhavati parjanyaha yajna karma samudbhavaha. From food come forth beings. From rain food is produced. From yajna arises rain. And yajna is born of action. This is the translation of shloka number 14. And then if you ask from where is this action coming, he says in 15, know that action arises from Brahma. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Know that action arises from Brahma. And where is Brahma arising from? He says Brahma arises from the imperishable. Brahma akshara samudbhava. Shara akshara. Shara means perishable. Akshara means imperishable. Referring to pure consciousness, Brahman. So he says Brahma comes from Brahman, the imperishable. So know that action arises from Brahma. Brahma arises from the imperishable Brahman. Then he says Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in Yajna. So what he's saying is, this is a metaphor taken from the agriculture. And through that, Sri Krishna is explaining to us how we can increase productivity, how life on earth is dependent on yajna, and also how living beings, especially human beings, can use yajna, evolve spiritually and become Brahman. So, he says, all these beings are produced by food. They come from food. The food digested by our parents produces us, this physical body. Annat bhavanti bhutan. And food comes from where? What is the cause for food? Can there be food without rain? So he says, no. Food comes from, food is dependent on rain. Our body is dependent on food. In fact, this body is called as Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha means food sheath. This body is called as food sheath, Annamaya Kosha, because it is produced by the food digested by the parents. And it is sustained by the food we eat. It is food for the other species. That's why even when we are sitting and attending the class, you see that mosquitoes sometimes come and feed on us. They're trying to drink our blood, isn't it? So, this is food. This body is food. Annamaya Kosha. So, this is heavily dependent on food. And food is heavily dependent on rain. And rain will be blessing the universe, causing this productivity only if beings are functioning, attuning to the ecology. Isn't it? If we selfishly function, what is happening nowadays? You see, either there is drought, there is no rain, or there is cloud burst. What should rain, the amount of rain that should have come in maybe 3 months at a particular time and go at a particular time, comes very early, and what should pour in 3 months pours in 2 days, 3 days. There is devastation, isn't it? Farmers are suffering, everybody is suffering, inflation shoots up, chaos. Now, what he's trying to say is this rain is dependent on yajna, means dharma, which is what people living, performing karma yoga, especially who? Grahastha people who are in Grahastha ashram. Everybody, but especially people who are in Grahastha ashram. Each one should do what they are supposed to do in the spirit of karma yoga, not selfishly. So that's why in the last class, when we were doing shloka number 11, where he talks about parasparam bhavayantaha, I mentioned about, that Al Gore's documentary, Inconvenient Truth. We do all kinds of things. We are abusing science actually. Nothing wrong with science. Science should be a blessing. It's become a curse. It's used most for destruction. And that comes from ego, springs from ego. Isn't it? I separate myself from the total, or a group of people separate themselves from the total. And my wish, our wish versus everyone's. And then they start living like that, and everybody start living like that. And when everybody starts living like that, what will happen? There will be ecological imbalance. And when there is ecological imbalance, either there will be drought, or like I said, cloud burst and this and that, and then all kinds of devastation will be there. So therefore he says, yajna is very important. Rain is dependent on yajna. In fact, in India, there is a belief that whenever there is drought, if you do yajna, there will be rain. And they say every time when they do yajna, there is rain coming and blessing. But it should not be just limited to this fire worship, like I said. See, most of our rituals, many of us practice it, if at all, in the puja room and leave it there. We have to take that bhav, bring it onto the streets. Then only we are converting the theory into practice. Swami Ramtita mentions this very often. He emphasizes practical Vedanta. He always talks about practical Vedanta, practical Vedanta. What is the use if it cannot be translated into work, into action? So therefore, he says, from food comes forth being, from rain food is produced, from yajna, sacrificial activities, rain comes. And yajna is dependent on what? Sacrificial activities. Where is it talked about? He says it is born of action. Of all the activities, there is selfish, unselfish, and selfless. So of this, we are supposed to do selfless action. So yajna is from the action. Also, when he says yajna karma samudbhavaha, means it is what? It is action. Yajna is not just talking about it, or just pouring ghee into the fire and offering grains there in the ritualistic portion. You have to do it, convert it into action. It is given in the Karma Kanda, in the Vedas. So therefore he says, it is born of action. And where is action mentioned? He says, action, know that action arises from Brahma. Brahma, Brahmaji, the creator. That is one way of understanding. Another meaning of Brahma in this context is Vedas. Brahmaji has 4 faces representing the 4 Vedas. So Brahma means Vedas, one of the meanings in Sanskrit. And in the Vedas, these sacrificial activities are mentioned because Vedas are only talking about what is Shreyas for us. What is Preyas? Vedas don't talk about. Preyas means what is pleasing. What is Shreyas mean? What is good for us. So Vedas talk about Yajna because it is good for us. Everybody must function in the spirit of Yajna. So he says, in the Vedas, the Yajna is mentioned. Know that Vedas come from Brahma. Know that Yajna comes from Brahma. And from where Vedas originate? In one of the classes we said, Vedas are what? They are not human making. They are not an outcome of human intellect. It is not coming from human buddhi. When human beings dissolve their ego through the process of karma, bhakti and jnana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, when they dissolve the ego, they merge with Brahman. They become one with Brahman. They identify with the pure consciousness in them. They don't identify with body, mind, intellect thereafter. Once having completely merged with the divinity within, now the divinity is speaking through them. That is called Vedas. So Vedas come from Brahman. He says Vedas come from Brahman, the imperishable. There is no, then you cannot ask. Brahman comes from where? Man is Anadi. It is beyond anything. That's the final. So he says, this is how the whole thing is in this world. So Vedas come from Brahman, and in the Vedas, the Yajna is talked about, and functioning in the spirit of Yajna, Dharma will be maintained. When Dharma is maintained, there will be rain, and then rain will help in productivity. And once there is food productivity, there will be beings. So life has evolved through Yajna. Then he says, Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishthitam. So what it means is, therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in Yajna. This is one meaning. The other meaning is, therefore, the Vedas, which talks about Dharma, is what is sustaining everything in this universe. Isn't it? Dharma means that which sustains. So what is sustaining? The knowledge in the Vedas. Everyone functioning in the spirit of, ethics. Then there is a system. Otherwise the system will collapse. So therefore, this is the system that is maintaining it. And that system is talked about in the Vedas, which is coming from Brahman. And that is what is maintaining everything as a substratum. Therefore, he says, Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. And where is it established? It is established, it is shining forth in the Yajna activity. So, in fact, you can chant Vedas, you can chant Bhagavad Gita, you can get the best chanter award and all that. You could have memorized the entire Vedas. You can be called as Chaturvedi, Trivedi and all that. But what he's emphasizing here is, you have to make sure that the Vedas are translated into action. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthita. So in yajna, the Brahman lives. The Vedas live. So you got to make Vedic verses alive. You got to bring them alive through your activities. Now the interesting thing is, when you function like that, what happens? We've already talked about it. When you function in the spirit of Yajna, you are not thinking about your selfish desires. You're working for a higher purpose, higher goal. So the fact that you are not thinking about what I will get, the object of your desires, you are not going to intensify the desire. You are not going to increase the desires. And also, your mind is calm, so you do your activities correctly. As a result, there is productivity and prosperity, wealth, with which you can fulfill your desires. So you'll be fulfilling your desires, materially prospering, and you would have also eradicated the desires, which means what? You will evolve spiritually as well. So that's why he says, therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in Yajna. Through Yajna, he said, no, may you propitiate. This is the Kamadenu. You can fulfill your desires through this Yajna. You can attain material prosperity in this world. You all can live happily in this world. Also, as you are living happily, you can eradicate desires and evolve spiritually. For both, what is the center? Yajna. Yajna plays the pivotal role. That's what it means. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthita. We should understand this. If you understand this, then you won't stop with just worship. While fire worship is a ritual which is very meaningful, one should continue. Then we should, with understanding of the symbolic meaning, we should do it not mechanically, with this awareness. But then we should bring that into our daily living. And when we bring that into our daily living, we evolve spiritually, materially we progress, and we also will be setting an example for the next generation to follow this. Otherwise, like he said before, Veda Vada Rataha. They are only talking of Vedas, stuck in flowery speech. Pushpitam Vacham, he says. Flowery speech, quoting Vedas, but not translating it into action. So why all this is saying? Because Arjuna asked, you are talking about knowledge, but you are forcing me to do action. What does it mean? Does it mean that you gain the knowledge, you sit and do nothing, but mentally keep thinking about the world? So he said, no, you should translate the knowledge into action in your daily living. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthita. So the Vedas sustain this universe by their teachings being followed in this world. Majority of the people are dharmic. In spite of all this nonsense, still things are going on. Because people following system. Even here and there, even though you may see chaos. So in spite of, with all the trouble, still it's going on because dharma is there. So that's why they say, you have to live your life Vedokta, based on the Vedas. Because it talks about dharma, what is good for you. Shreya, it doesn't talk anything else. So this is the metaphor taken from agriculture, and a beautiful education is given to us. Now, if you see in this, what is interesting is, we have already discussed about yajna, the kund being the, when you do fire worship, there's a kund, the trough, which is made of bricks, which represents the field of activity, your organization, the family, etc. And in that, our nature, vasanas are there, which is represented by the wood. Then priest represents the guru. And the priest churns the personality made up of vasanas. And within, through that, the knowledge arises. When you churn the wood, what happens? Through the friction, the fire comes from within. The fire represents the knowledge. And the fire burns the wood. Wood is the fuel, and fire comes from the wood only, by churning. So, through the knowledge given by the Guru, when we churn our personality, from within, the self-awareness comes. When the self-awareness comes, we need to do sadhana and intensify it. How do you do that? Each participant brings an handful of grain or ghee and offer it in the fire when the yajna is going. Then the fire shoots up. So we should function in the world in the spirit of service and sacrifice that will intensify the awareness further with the yajna dana tapa. Isn't it? Tapas will intensify the awareness further. Dhanam and yajna also do the same thing. So that is how we have to offer. Then, the ghee, the grains offered, our talents and skills offered in the field of activity, with that bhav, the fire shoots up. Meaning, divinity shoots up and blesses us with a lot of productivity in the world. Isn't it? So, when we function in the spirit of service and sacrifice, there's a beautiful mahol, environment. It is conducive for each one to work in cooperation. Isn't it? Everybody supplements and complements each other, cooperates with one another. And when they cooperate with one another, supplement and complement with each other, then there is a lot of productivity. And where there is productivity, what will happen? Beings are drawn. Where there is action, where there is productivity, beings are drawn. From villages, people go to the cities. Isn't it? You see people are going to different cities from the villages. Why? There is activity, there is opportunity. Life thrives. So therefore, he says, yajna is the main thing. So to increase your productivity in your organization, in your life, in your neighborhood, everywhere, everybody must act in the spirit of cooperation. This is what he's trying to teach us through this agriculture metaphor. So it's a cycle. You should not stop this cycle. So what is he saying? From Brahman comes Vedas, from Vedas comes Yajna, from Yajna comes the world, and from Yajna you can also get back to Brahman. So hold on to that Yajna. That's what he's emphasizing here. So you must live Yajna lifestyle, which is called a Sattvic lifestyle, a Dharmic lifestyle, Gita lifestyle, which they call as Vedokta, meaning living based on Vedas. Now, living based on Vedas doesn't mean going from one ritual to another. We should continue the rituals. We should not condemn the rituals. Nobody will condemn the rituals. When you rise above it by understanding, and though you rise above it, you will never condemn the rituals. You will in fact follow it. Because it is those rituals and all that you did when you were small has brought you to this. Between, even if we are digressed here and there, it is these things that is going to bring us back. And therefore, when the child is growing up, these things are important. Then when the child's intellect starts developing and the child starts asking questions, then you can explain what is the symbolic meaning of yajna, why you should, all that. But now, initially, the child has to do the yajna. The parents, the gurus will have to initiate the child. And then the child goes on doing. Then slowly, when the intellect develops, the child starts asking questions. Then the child is explained, hey Baba, This is the meaning. Then the child says, okay, I should bring this spirit into my daily living. So, like we have a, what do you call, the walker at home, isn't it? For small kids, there is a walker. The children, they use the walker and they start walking. After some time, they don't need the walker. But in those houses, they would have not thrown away the walker. In today's context, they may put it in Ola. I mean, what is that? OLX. OLX, not Ola. OLX. OLX may beach though, says an advertisement. So even though you may put it in OLX, you know that there may be a requirement in your family when a grandchild is born again. Your son doesn't need it anymore. But later on, for the grandchild, it may be needed. So in some houses, they save it. Some houses, they sell it in OLX. What it means is, when we say we keep it still, we value it, even though you don't need it anymore. Similarly, you might have risen above the rituals, but you will never condemn the rituals. You may even follow some rituals because it is important for the others in the family, the young ones, to take it up. So you maintain the dharma. You never break it. It should continue. So that's what he's beautifully explaining here. You see the order, it's fantastic. Food comes from rain. And rain comes from, we think it's coming from clouds. But, Vedas always talk about unknown causes. Adrishta, apurva. Now what you can just see, there are many cause and effect you can see, understand. That's okay. But there are many things you don't understand. How it works. You see, when we are all standing in the waiting for the signal to turn green, and we have stopped our cars and scooters at the signal. If it's red, suddenly one fellow will go. Then, seeing that, 2-3 other fellows will go. Then slowly everybody starts going. Now, many times I see that in Delhi. I'm sure it's happening everywhere, in India especially. When there is a traffic jam on the side you are going, people start going on the other side. It is in the opposite direction. The traffic seems to be hardly anything. People start going in the opposite direction. They think, I'll go like this, and then in the next junction or something, I'll join. So I'll go fast. I must go. There is a system. They say that you have to go on this side. Other fellows go in the opposite direction. Everybody has to go. It's not just you who live in this world. Now one fellow goes slowly in the other direction. And from where you are, he is already, you can see him that he's gone to about 50 meters. After that, you can't see him. He's out of sight. So you think he's beautifully crossed and he's crossed the traffic jam and he's gone home. So you get agitated. Let me also go. And seeing you 2-3 other fellows go. Then slowly on the other side also there's chaos because you stop the opposite traffic as well. Now on both sides there is big headache, big problem. Then it takes even more time to solve this case. We don't have that patience. We want it now, right now. Everything has to come now. In fact, it should have come yesterday. Especially in today's world, everything is to be done very fast. What is the hurry? I don't know. So he says, you must function in the spirit of yajna, sacrifice, dharma. The power of ethics is very, very important. The value. Even in business. When you don't mind, if you see practically, there are companies I've seen, they will, when it comes to negotiation finally, they'll say, listen, there's no way we are going to negotiate. The price is fixed. You take it or leave it. In fact, we are very interested in serving you. We don't want this business to go to somebody else. We would like to serve you. but we will not compromise on this price, because only then can we give this service to you. If we compromise, we reduce the price, then to that extent we won't be able to give you that service. There are companies, there are businesses who function like this. And in fact, they flourish because they focus on the product. They're thinking about how, if somebody is paying so much money for the product, like if I'm paying for it so much, it should be worthy of it. No? So they put themselves in the customer's point of view and they know it's worthy of it. Every penny is worthy of it. It deserves it. So they say, listen, there's no way we are going to compromise. And you'll see people flock to them. Why? Because they get best service, best product, best service. So you should understand the power of ethics. Initially, when you go in the other direction, it may seem like helping you. And slowly, when the product doesn't function, stops functioning, when your service is not that good, great, you go and see, nowadays when people go, even to a restaurant when they go, what do? They go to Google review. Isn't that where they go? Achha, this fellow has got 4.8. Okay, how many people have reviewed? Only 4 fellows have reviewed. Oh, maybe it is their own people. No, let's go to some other review, some other restaurant. And they check all these reviews. They say, oh, this fellow has got 4.5. How many people have reviewed? Some 2,000-3,000 people. Oh, this must be good. Now, what is happening? When you say the review is good, what does it mean? Why people are saying, that fellow service was good? Then everybody flocked because he was following dharma, ethics. That is what we need to understand. So, we may think through shortcut we can grow. We can't grow. We'll only swell. To really grow, you need to follow the straightforward method. That is Dharma Chakra. That is Yajna. So he says, Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishti. So only in Yajna the Vedas live, not in your books. You may be taking so many notes. ABCD, 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 you have written everything. No. Whatever he said, before sneezing, what did he say? After sneezing? Before sneezing, after sneezing, doesn't matter. What matters is following. When Vedas are translated into action, Dharma is maintained. In Dharma, you hold on to Dharma, Dharma blesses you. Dharma Rakshati Rakshitaha. Dharma protects those who protect Dharma. The concept is teaching here. You take it or leave it. People, there's one whole seminar we give on topic, what? Work ethics. Oh, work ethics, full day seminar, half a day seminar, 1 hour talk, different platforms. What is it? This is what we are talking. It is all there in Vedas. It is all there in Vedanta, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. It is constantly talking about it. So you holding on to the values, you holding on to the ethics is in your interest. Oh, I'm very ethical. As if now you've been ethical and nobody has given you any award. You better be ethical so that you will benefit. And seeing you, even if few people start becoming ethical, you're doing wonderful service to the others. Even if you're not coming and talking on Bhagavad Gita, nobody is sitting and crying. Hey Baba, please come and talk about Bhagavad Gita. No, nobody is crying. That's why Swami Ramtita says, wanted reformers, not of others, but of themselves. No, he says, Rama's clarion call. There is this 7 books called Inwoods of God Realization by Swami Ramtita. It's complete works of Swami Ramtita. He didn't write anything. He lectured in many different parts of the world, USA, Japan, many places, even in Arab countries, many places he lectured. And he never wrote anything. All his lectures beautifully brought out in a book format, thanks to few people's effort, in 7 books, 7 volumes. There it's written, Rama's clarion call. What is it? Wanted reformers, not of others, but of themselves. You don't want reformers of others. You should not be sitting and thinking that I am here to reform everybody. Nobody needs any reformation. You first reform yourself. In fact, Swami Ramtita says, reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. I read it in Swami Vivekananda's work also. He just adds one more word to this. He says, reforming the world is like straightening a dog's curly tail. In Swami Vivekananda's quotation, it says curly tail. In Swami Ramtita's quotation, it doesn't say curly word. It just says reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. You straighten it, it again rolls. Straighten, again rolls. So you have to live dharmically, ethically, so that others follow that, and then the universe is maintained, and through this you can exhaust the vasanas and you can evolve spiritually also. So that is the only one magic wand for both material and spiritual progress. To progress materially, the magic wand is yajna. To progress spiritually also, the same magic wand. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtha. So therefore you must follow yajna. He is emphasizing the importance of yajna here. Because Arjuna asked, no. So what was Arjuna planning to do? I will not fight. And he wanted to go and sit down. Seeing him, few fellows will go. Then what will happen? Adharma will start growing. And when children start seeing adharma everywhere, they'll think that is the normal. Isn't it? Isn't that what is happening? We see when we are sitting behind our father in the car or bus, in the what do you call the bicycle or scooter, our father is flouting the signal. Everybody is flouting. You see that. From childhood you are seeing. I think it's normal. What's the big deal? It's quite normal. So from the childhood, it has to be emphasized. You are a spoke in the in the wheel of life. You are a spoke in the wheel of life. You must follow this yajna. Then only this dharma chakra will go properly. That's what he's talking about. So, without any ego that I am the one who is maintaining by functioning in an unselfish way and making sure that this dharma chakra functions, nothing like that. Without that ego, with this clear understanding, you follow dharma. Then you will be exhausting your vasanas, you will be evolving also, spiritually and materially. Beautifully explains, isn't it? So, what is dependent on what? Food is dependent on rain. Beings are dependent on food. Food is dependent on rains. Rain is dependent on yajna, sacrificial activity. And that is talked about in the Vedas. So it's dependent on Vedas. And Vedas are spoken by whom? Self-realized rishis. So who is talking it? Ishvara, Brahman. So finally, from where have we got this instruction? From where have we got this yajna? We've got it from Ishvara, from the Lord. So we are supposed to understand it this way and then follow. What happens if we don't follow? He talks about it in the 16th shloka, which we will see next week. Let's conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.